What's up, everybody? Metal Dave Glessner here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster. Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today we are joined by one of my favorite drummers, Nigel Glockler from Saxon, is with us today. It's his fourth appearance on the Talk Louder podcast. That makes him the current Talk Louder podcast champion. He's got a new album out with Saxon called Hellfire and Damnation. It's awesome.
Yes.
We delve into that and talk about the new album, the new videos, the upcoming tour. We also got some cool stories about Freddie Mercury and Cheap Trick and some other stuff. We had fun picking his brain today.
Yeah, he's always fun to talk to. He has the best laugh.
Yes.
It's completely infectious, and he's such a nice guy, and he's no bullshit either. So that probably has a lot to do with why we keep having him back. And Saxon is very consistent.
Yes.
And prolific.
Yes.
For a band that's been around, you know, they arguably kind of started the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing. You know, they've kind of been around as long as, like, I want to say UFO. And, you know, whatever you could, I mean, their first record came out in late 70s.
Yeah.
They've been around at least as long as Iron Maiden. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly one of the forerunners. Obviously, everyone knows them as a leader of the new wave of British heavy metal movement. And they're still going strong. And I'm glad you brought that up because
along with Def Leppard and Iron Maiden and such.
Yeah, of course,
but
sure. But I love your point about their consistency, because now this is the Hellfire and Damnation is the latest album in a string of about, I'd say, 4 or 5 that have just been phenomenal. And I've said this before, if you stopped listening to Saxon after Crusader, you're missing out on a lot of great stuff. The last few albums, Sacrifice, Battering Ram, Thunderbolt, Carpe Diem, the current one, Hellfire and Damnation. I mean, that's all their most recent output, and they're all excellent, excellent albums. So if you're a fan and you've missed that, go out and check that out. And of course, check out the new album, Hellfire and Damnation. It's amazing. Saxon will be on the road. You'll get a chance to see them here in the next couple months. So, and yeah, Nigel's just the nicest guy. Always a blast to hang out with him. So we appreciate him spending time with us today. Nigel Glockler on the Talk Louder podcast. I got a chance to spend some time with you a couple nights ago, and we'll have some questions related to some of our conversation the other night, because that was a lot of fun. But obviously, the thing we want to talk about the most today is your new album, the new Saxon album, Hellfire and Damnation. Wow, the reviews have been great, and it's all over the internet. Lots of great reviews. Do you feel like there's a certain new excitement about Saxon and this particular album, or are you too close to it to tell?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, I guess. No, I maybe you're right. I mean, I think, bringing Brian Tatler into the fold maybe has sort of added some excitement to some people that would, maybe Diamond Head followers that wouldn't be into us or something. So, I don't know. I couldn't possibly say, but I mean, we're well pleased with all the reviews and everything. Great.
Yeah, I would think so, because everything I've seen has just been a great review, and I've seen a lot of them. It's not just a couple reviews here and there. It seems to be all over the internet. People are really excited about it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tatler. So is it fair to say he's officially a member of the band now?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
when we talked to Brian, he kind of wasn't allowed to say. It was kind of like, we'll see, we'll give it a go and see what happens. Because at that point, I don't even know if he had done a fucking gig with you guys yet. So we were already hiring him for you.
Oh, right. Okay.
We already
going to blame. Okay.
Yeah, get in there, man. Just get in there.
It'll be fine.
No, I mean, he's great. He's done the album and everything, and he's doing the next tour. So I think you can safely say that. So,
Yeah. I'm still waiting on my album to arrive in the mail, so I don't have the credits in front of me, but I understand that Paul plays on the album. Is that correct?
Yeah, he plays just a couple of solos on the album.
Okay.
To be quite honest with you, I couldn't tell you what tracks they are off the top of my head, but yeah, we got him in just to do a couple more, you know.
So if he is basically retired from the band and only contributed a couple solos on the record, how did that alter the writing process for you guys? Because you now have Brian Tatler, Paul Quinn obviously was a huge part of the Saxon sound, and now he's out. So how did that alter the chemistry when you went to write this record?
No, well, I mean, everyone goes away and writes bits and bobs away from the band, you know, and then people bring in their sort of ideas, and then we sort of work them out. You know, that's how it goes. So really, it was no different. You know, Brian brought some ideas in that he had, and we sort of worked through them. And
yeah, he seems like a great fit for you guys. I remember when the word went out that you were looking for a second guitarist to step in for Paul. Yeah. For some reason, he wasn't even on my radar. And I think some of that might be Diamond Head never really broke in America. So he's not really on my radar. They're a much bigger band in Europe. But now that he's in the band, he makes perfect sense to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he slotted in with Doug. Great, you know, and... but, I mean, it was not last year. I think it was the year before. There was a time, I mean, Paul was sick. I can't remember whether it was COVID or something. And Diamond Head had been supporting us anyway. And we asked Brian if he would mind learning the set so he could step into the breach. I think it was for a couple of festivals or something, just in case.
Right.
So he was sort of almost ready, shall we say, anyway, because he went and learnt the set.
Yeah.
You know, and so then when this occurred, it just made sense anyway. And you know, we're all good mates and everything, and it just worked out. It just seemed the obvious answer. I mean, you know, we were getting so many sort of emails and stuff from other guitarists, and I mean, quite frankly, we wanted someone from our sort of era,
right?
Someone from our sort of style. We didn't want some young gun coming in like shredding 5,000 notes a minute, because that would just be totally wrong for us.
Right.
You know, and Brian was just an obvious fit. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's working out, because the album sounds great. He's a good fit on stage, and I'm glad that personality-wise, he's able to jump in and keep Saxon moving forward.
Yeah.
The videos for this album have been really good, and I mean the camera work, especially on the video for the title track, Hellfire and Damnation. The camera work and the editing is great, and I love the fact that they give you equal face time. There's quite a lot of shots of Nigel, the drummer.
I know, it's nice, isn't it? It's pretty good. And then they give me the evil eye as well, the red eyes.
Yeah. How come you got the evil eyes? Did you draw the shortest straw, or
God knows? You know, I guess maybe it's some of the facial expressions I pull when I'm playing. You know, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was a great video to do. Great, you know.
All of them have been really, really, really good videos. They're colorful. The action is good. The editing is great. The camera shots are good. I like how they give each member of the band equal time. So I was really impressed with the videos. Do you have any songs on this album? I know in the past, like with Kingdom of the Cross, there's been times in the past where you were the main contributor to a particular song on an album. Is there a song like that on this album?
No, not this one.
No.
Not this one. Everyone was just working all together and everything. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you, when you say people like, you know, you guys kind of split up and everybody writes a little, you know, little tads and things on their own, and then kind of email them to each other is usually how it's done these days. Did you have some things?
I mean, there's always bits flying about all the time, you know. Or there may be some things that didn't get used on past albums that suddenly come up. I mean, it just varies album to album, you know. Right. There's no sort of set thing. People just send stuff in, and if Biff gets sort of something moves him, shall we say, or he's got a title in his head and it fits, it gets used. I mean, in the past, we've done something where we might have used something that was written like 6 years ago, a basic idea.
Right.
So there's no set thing how it works.
Does anyone else in the band ever present lyrics to Biff, or is that really his domain?
No, he does all the lyrics. I mean, in the past, sort of around that sort of Dogs of War and Unleash the Beast, I used to help him with the lyrics then.
Yeah.
But as we're all over the place, it's like it doesn't work like that anymore now.
Yeah.
Living wise, and we tend to he tends to work on lyrics at home a lot anyway.
Yeah.
When he gets the demos and stuff, and then works on lyrics, or he might work on lyrics once we've got the song worked out. But he does that by himself.
He's got some good rhyme scheme going on. Madame Guillotine, that first verse. I was
just going to say that one.
That first verse tickled me a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of his best lyrics.
That's really good. It's really good.
In fact, it's probably my favorite song on the album. Actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I like it from the point of view that it's not someone talking about the guillotine. It's Madame Guillotine speaking to you. Like, pleased to meet you, come here, I'm going to cut your head off,
Yeah. And
I like it. It's quite menacing, actually,
Yeah. Well, the rhyme scheme with Marie Antoinette rhymes with debt and almost head and almost, it has all of these great, it's really wide open. And I just wasn't expecting, those words to like build. And it builds nice into the pre-chorus and chorus with that type of a a ladder, if you will.
Yeah. No, again, as I say, I think that's one of his best lyrics, actually.
Yeah. Well, I want to take this time to also talk about, to you about Biff, if that's all right.
Sure.
He's, not a young chicken, and his voice is sounding better than ever, and I'm really kind of
jealous.
Sort of jealous. Yeah. Well, when I grow up, I want to be Biff Byford. How's that? So it just turns out that I really am a champion for singers that have been doing it pretty much their whole life, since they were a teen, and continue to sing and write and perfect and work on. It goes with any instrument.
Sure.
But a singer, it's very personal. The voice is the human touch, the sort of the face of the sound of an artist or a band or whatever, of a record, really, of a song. So he's just fucking killing it. His tone, his range, you think about Brian Johnson, and he, even though when you get Brian on a great day, he's not Back in Black Brian,
right.
But he musters up a kick-ass. I love Power Up. I love that record. Me and Dave both love that last AC/DC. It's been some years back now, but he sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And so, everybody has the good day and the bad day, but just as far as a studio recording, there's nothing. I've heard about half the record so far.
Okay.
And he just sounds amazing. Is there anything that he does before studio or just warm-ups or this may be something I've never asked before about Biff and his voice and his process?
No, I mean, he does do like little warm-ups and stuff before we're going on stage, but I mean, not a lot, but we, for instance, if we do a sound check, we'll probably just sing one song.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to get up there and have a blast,
Sure.
So, and then I get up there before the stringers, as I call them, the guitarists. I get up there so I can have a bit of peace and quiet before they get up there, so I can just have a bit of a practice and stuff, and then they come up and get their sounds and everything, and then Biff will come up and we'll probably play maybe one or two songs.
Yeah.
At the most in a sound check.
Okay.
So that's probably what he does. That's probably his warm-up. you know?
Yeah, sure.
And again, I think a lot of it live is down to the monitoring, how you hear yourself. So, I mean, he's on in ears.
Yeah.
But I think generally his voice, I agree with you. His voice definitely has got better. It's as he's got older, he's got that rasp in it, and that's what I like.
Yeah. Well,
it's not so clean as it used to be. It's raspy, and even though he's still got the range, but there's that rasp.
Well, I'm hearing, on top of that, pretty much the same thing. I'm hearing tones from his voice that I don't recall. I mean, it's fucking Biff. It sounds like Biff, but there's something else going on, and I just wondered if that's just I'll call it the wisdom. Yeah, he has the wisdom now in his tone, and it's just because he's been doing it. He's been showing everybody else how to do it for so long.
I mean, you compare his tone, for instance. I mean, I know it was a long time ago, but I mean, you compare his tone from something like "Innocence Is No Excuse" to now.
Yeah,
his tone's a lot heavier.
Yeah,
and there's more attack on it, I think, because it's not so pure.
Right.
There's like this dirt in it.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, he's telling stories. He's got stories to tell now that he didn't have back on that,
Yeah.
I have to take this time to, it was just yesterday I was cutting a vocal for a cover of Machine Gun that my band Igniter is doing. We just covered Machine Gun, and I did it's just a demo I'm working with. It's not quite done. It's got guitars and it's got the drum machine on it, but in a week it'll have everything on it. But it's interesting that we were going to talk to you today, and I that one had come up in the queue for me to work on.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Was a lot of work for old Jason. That was a lot of work. So I have that's why when I was listening to, Hellfire and Damnation, I'm like, God damn, the guy is, I got to catch up,
Yeah.
Anyway, great job to Biff on this. What's the song that has Nibs starting it on a bass line? Which one is that? Is that?
I think that could be
Madame Guillotine, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Madame Guillotine. Yeah. And then Brian comes in with the guitars under it.
So that's
and Andy Sneap found this great sample of a guillotine.
Yeah.
And then it starts.
Yeah, I love that kind of shit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you've worked with Andy now for a number of albums. That chemistry is also working out very well, I think.
Oh God, yeah, great, really cool.
So he did you guys' record before the new Accept, or right after? Do you know? Just by chance.
I think he started working on it before or during. He sort of swaps around and goes.
Okay.
For instance, we might be doing drum tracks, right?
Oh yeah.
And then we'll send the drum tracks to Andy.
Okay.
So he might be working on those sounds, and maybe he's got some basic guitars in there as well. So stuff's all sort of split up all over the place.
I see.
Which in a way is pretty good because it means you get a break from one thing for a while, then you can come back to it and listen to it again. But when we're doing the drums, for instance, he's always sending me like WAVs and stuff of the drum sound so I can hear what's going on. And so we communicate all the time with that.
Yeah, that keeps your ears and your head fresh on what you want to say and the big picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I want to echo Jason's point about Biff and his vocals sounding so great still all these years later, but your drumming is phenomenal on this record. That the song Fire and Steel that's a workout, man. And I know you
tell me about it.
Yeah. And you just celebrated a birthday, and people can look it up if they want to find out how old you are, but you are playing at a phenomenal level for a man your age. I was trying to figure out, is there anyone in heavy metal that is playing with that much stamina and that much attack and that much double kick and all those fast fills, and I couldn't come up with anyone. The only one I could think of was maybe Nico McBrain, and I don't even know. I think you've got him beat.
Yeah, I don't know if Nico is as thrashy as Nigel is sometimes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Tell us about Fire and Steel though, because that's a workout. That's a drum attack.
Yeah, it is. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's like sort of, you know, once you sort of get the speed going, it's funny. It's once I get sort of doing backing tracks, right, and I get limbered up. And I think, right, you know, is this fun? And it's just like, I'll just go for it. I mean, it has been, I'll tell you a funny story about that sort of the double sort of kick drum thing. Years ago, we were touring Sweden, I think it was. And we were there for about 3 weeks or something. And in those days, you know, the tour buses weren't quite so luxurious as they are. So if someone, you know, you were trying to get to sleep and someone was up playing bloody music all night, you know, they kept you awake.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a certain party going on in the back of the bus, and I thought, you know, and we were doing this medley. I think it had like Warrior in it, all this really fast double kick drum stuff, you know, triplets and like really fast. And they'd kept me up, so I'd hardly got any sleep. And I thought, right, I'll show you buggers, you know. And so every time we sort of segued into the next part of the bloody, you know, the track, I upped the tempo just very slightly. I just pushed it. And the poor guitarists were like trying to play these triplets with my kit, and they were looking around at me going, ah, and I was going, take that, you bastard, you know. So it's just like, if you're going for it, I can go for it, you know.
Yeah. So
I mean, I couldn't do a whole set like that. That'd be ridiculous.
Sure. But I pay attention to your drumming on each new Saxon album, because to me, your drumming is a highlight of the Saxon sound. So my ears kind of go towards the drums when I listen to Saxon, maybe more so than when I listen to other bands.
Right.
So I'm kind of studying them. And well, you've just gotten better and better, much like Jason said about Biff, and I'm not just saying that because you're on our show today, but I think it's real. I mean, the drums have been fantastic the last few albums. Do you play on a daily basis just to stay loose, or what's your routine?
No, I don't. I've got a practice pad, but I'm not one of these guys that can. I mean, maybe I should, but I'm not one of these guys that goes into a rehearsal room and plays for 3 or 4 hours every day.
Yeah.
It's just something I've never done. Unless I was starting out, then obviously I did that because I was learning stuff, you know, before I turned pro. You know, it was the old drum kit in the bedroom and terrify the dogs and annoy the parents, and you know, that was it. And it was funny, actually. We had a couple of Jack Russells, and they knew what noise the drums made, and they used to come up to, you know, see, oh, where's Nigel, what's he doing? And they'd walk into my bedroom. As soon as they saw me walk towards the drums, I didn't even have to touch it. They were gone.
Yeah.
Because they knew what was coming.
I have that at my house. As you know, my son plays drums, and his kit is upstairs. But if he sits down at the kit and just gets his foot on the kick pedal, just, you know, taps it that one time, the cat takes off.
Oh yeah, they know.
They knows what's coming next.
They know. But no, I have, you know, I just sort of, and the other thing is, I think, well, for me personally, sometimes if I'm away from it, when I get back to the drums, it's like, oh, great, exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because I've been away from it that much. I mean, maybe I wouldn't feel that if I was playing every day.
Right.
You know, maybe I should be. You know, I'm sure there's people out there going, lazy bastards, you know, you should be bloody playing every day. What's this, you know? But I don't know. It works for me anyway.
Yeah. I'll say it's working just fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Tell us about, I think the album cover is maybe the best Saxon album cover ever. I love the cover.
Okay.
That's as a fan, a long in the tooth fan, might have to fight you on that. Because there's something different about the art. I mean, having something relative to your last record and having a thing like Iron Maiden where you have a mascot or an emblem or, you know, I can understand why you would want to do something different artistically on what people see as the sort of widget or image for something fresh that just as long as it has your recognizable logo.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But I agree with Dave to the idea that it's unbelievable, but Dave, that's a big word saying it might be your favorite piece of art. Saxon cover.
I know it's a bold statement, but I'll stand behind it. I was blown away when I love the artwork itself and the color scheme. I love the way the red pops off the gray. Yeah. And it's very eye-catching, and the artwork itself is amazing. So again, I don't have my copy. It's in the mail, but I did some research and I looked up. The artist's name is a guy named Peter Soleil. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but apparently he's done album covers for Wasp and Creator and Sabaton and Satyricon. So I wanted to give him a little shout because I think the album artwork, I'm going to need a shirt with that on it because it's awesome.
Yeah, I would wear that.
Do you remember any discussions about the artwork or the first time?
No, we were just seeing sort of bits and bobs as it was gradually progressing, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think the sort of title gave way to what the artwork was going to have to be.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, you couldn't have Hellfire and Damnation and 5 guys sitting around a bloody pub, could you?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it was on fire or something. But,
not sure who owns
it. Just lent itself. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, and it's modern enough as well. I mean, you know, depending on what age it was, you know, the Leonardo da Vinci could have whipped something up for you guys that would have been perfect with that title, you know, and an artist like that. But having a younger hip kind of artist also made your cover actually, and I know that it's not cool to say these types of things because usually fans don't think about this, but if your new album cover is going to pop up next to the other guy's album covers, you want your album cover to be
pop out, definitely
attractive in the ways that other albums. So using even if he's not a popular artist, using an artist that's worked with some of the either up and coming or bands that have been around, like some of the bands David mentioned that this artist has done, I think that it was a grand decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny, you're talking about album covers. It's like, I mean, my favorite album cover ever of any band, because it pops, and I think it was due to the time when it came out, is Disraeli Gears by Cream.
Ah, yeah.
Wow.
That is still my favorite album cover ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's all that sort of fluorescent pink, red, green, yellow.
Right.
And all that sort of psychedelic bubble writing, as they used to call it. I just love that album cover.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this on the show numerous times, but I don't think you can underestimate the value of a good-looking logo, a great-looking album cover, a great sounding title, and I think you guys nailed all that with this particular album. Yeah,
I mean the thing is as well, to have a good cover, you know, if you've got a great cover, it'll look great on a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it all goes part and parcel, you know.
Yeah. So you're getting ready now that the album is out. You're just a few weeks away from starting a tour, and you go out with Judas Priest in Europe first for a month.
We're doing the UK first. UK, then we head to Europe. So it's it's an arena tour with Priest with special guests on there and Uriah Heep opening.
Yeah. And you're going to be in the States April and May?
Yeah, that's a co-headline with Uriah Heep.
Right. So you've toured obviously with Judas Priest many, many times. What's your best Judas Priest story?
Oh God. I don't know. No, I haven't really got one, to be quite honest with you. Oh, there was one actually. I got to say, our old Scott. You know, he changed his drum kit, but one of the he got really pissed off because one of his small toms hadn't arrived with the new kit and it was a different color. So he had this one tom that was a different color, and he was really pissed off about that. He won't mind me saying that, I'm sure he won't, but but no, I mean, great, we get on with them brilliantly.
That's a great pair. I wish, we saw you together with Judas Priest and Black Star Riders a few years ago here in the States. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we would welcome that tour back anytime. So
I mean, a lot of people have been saying, as soon as this tour was announced, bring it to the States,
Yeah, yeah. But we'll see you in May here in Texas, and Uriah Heep. That's a great pairing too. So
I mean, there'll be some shows, where they're more popular, they'll be closing, and other shows where we'll be closing. We'll both be playing the same amount of time, and as far as I know, there's no support band, so it's just an evening with us.
Yeah, wow. That's great. That's awesome. When you're out on tour, what's the one thing you must have when you're on the road?
Beer. No. No.
That makes perfect sense.
No, actually, if you're playing like a thunderous set, I mean, the most important thing for me is sleep.
Yeah. And how do you get good quality sleep on a tour bus?
Oh, I can now. The rocking of the bus, I can sleep like a baby on there.
Wow. Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, the sort of thing is, after we've done a gig, we'll get on there, and I think a few bottles of beer will get cracked, or some wine, red wine or something. So we get a bit merry, and then crash out. And I actually prefer being on a tour bus than staying in hotels. Because at least with the tour, after the adrenaline, you've had a drink or whatever, it might be like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock before I go to bed.
Right.
Now with a hotel, I've got probably have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, travel to the next gig.
Right.
Whereas this way, I can just sleep, and if necessary, if I'm really tired, I can stay in bed until lunchtime or until sound check.
Yeah, shower at the venue.
Exactly. Just go in, shower, whatever, and I generally actually after we've done a sound check and eaten at a gig, I might go back on the bus and have an hour power nap before we go on.
Yeah.
So
how big of a production do you take out on the road? I'm sure it varies depending on the country or the territory or whatever. But say for those of us that are going to see you in the United States, when Saxon's on the road, how many buses and trucks and whatnot are you?
Oh, generally we'll travel. We like traveling with the crew, so we'll be on a bus with our crew.
Yeah. Okay.
We like travel. We like them. We're bringing. Some of our guys will be coming over from Europe with us. There'll be a couple of guys. I've got a drum tech over here that works with me whenever I'm in the States.
Yeah.
And but no, we like to travel with the crew on the bus.
Are you living in the States? Are you living in the States currently?
Me, yeah. I'm in Dallas.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
So how many people total is on that bus then?
It varies. We bring a front of house guy, a guitar tech, maybe 2 guitar techs, a drum tech.
That's a little crowded.
Maybe one of the guitar techs will be a monitor guy as well. We're bringing a lighting guy with us. But there's not that many. It's not like sort of, Iron Maiden size crew.
Right.
Because we're using a lot of in-house PAs and stuff like that. So you don't need a big PA crew. They're the ones that actually, it's the riggers and the PA crews that take up all the numbers.
Yeah.
When you get to a personal thing within the band and, personal sort of text for the band, there's not that many.
So do you have the band all acclimated to stopping at every Buc-ee's along the way now? Or?
Funnily enough, Gina was talking to me about this. She said, I started that with bands. Wearing Buc-ee stuff, and now all bands go in there and get their pictures in Buc-ee's. And Gina said, you started that, so I feel quite proud. Maybe they should give me some free shirts. I think
I've been saying this all along. They need to endorse you. Or free lifetime beef jerky or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they carry electric jellyfish? Maybe they could help you out there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Now you're talking.
So
there
when
was somebody on just one thing about Buc-ee's. There's like yesterday or day before, there was a writer, like a travel review journalist, wrote an article about. I didn't click on it and read the whole thing, but the title said enough, and they were not a fan of Buc-ee's. They said Buc-ee's was it's so crazy and busy and smelly and you're fighting for parking, you're fighting to get a drink, you stand in line, the restrooms are blah, blah. Just went on and on and on about.
Well, I don't know which Buc-ee's he's been in.
Yeah, me neither.
Right.
I don't know.
I think that they were just, I think you nailed it. They're in the wrong Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
They're a wrong time of day. That's a bad look.
I've never had, they get crowded. Yeah, sure. But, the restrooms are like some of the best restrooms I've been in on a motorway sort of thing.
Yeah.
Traveling.
I was going to say, even at the busiest time of day, midday on a Saturday, fuck. Sure, everybody knows it's a Walmart type truck stop.
Yeah.
But I've never had that bad of an experience where I walked away and went, I'm never going there.
Never.
It didn't make any sense to me. But I thought of you. I was like, I wonder what Nigel would think about this.
Here's one for you. Yeah, a friend of mine, he was the bass player in Iced Earth for a while. He texted me the other day and we were just sort of texting, saying hi and whatever, because he's in Arizona. Apparently Arizona's getting the Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the biggest one. Bastard, Well, that's what he says anyway. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I've often said Buc-ee's is the model of efficiency. You can pull up in that parking. You pull up in that parking lot, there could be 10,000 cars in that parking lot, and you'll be in and out of that thing in less than 3 minutes.
And how many gas pumps are there? 100?
Oh my God! Yeah.
Well, it could have been where this certain journalist was trying to park where they wanted to park. You can't always park where you want to park. If you want to park in the front row, because you got to go. Yeah, you can't do that anywhere. So it just could have been.
You can't please everyone.
Fuck right. No.
Enough on Buc-ee's. Nigel, I wanted you to share the story that you shared with me the other night about Freddie Mercury, because Jason is a big Queen fan, and I knew he would get a kick out of this.
About what, when we were in the studio?
Yeah, you almost had a chance to go party with him.
Yeah,
or something.
I know. It was. We were. Where the hell were we? It was like GTR. We were routining the tracks for the second GTR album. And I think we were in John Henry's or something, like a rehearsal place, come studio in London. And Freddie was in a studio. I think he might have been in Psalm West, one of the big studios. I think he was working in there, and he sent his driver up to come to our studio because he wanted us to go back and party with him. Right? And I was, I'm a big Queen fan as well, and I was like, oh yeah. And I was so pissed off because Steve Howe turned around and said, no, we can't. We haven't got time. We've got to work. And I was like, damn it.
Oh, the stories you could tell at that point.
Oh, man.
After that.
Yeah. Did I read somewhere? I don't think I knew this. Did I read somewhere that you did 2 albums with Paul Di'Anno and Dennis Stratton?
Yeah, there was an album called 2 Iron Men albums. And it was funny. There was this little sort of clique of people, guys in, oh God, what was his name? Can't remember now. But there was like Dennis, Paul, and there were the guys from Fastway, not the original Fastway, but later on. And everything sort of, people ended up going in the studio playing on other people's tracks, and then suddenly it would come out someone else was playing on it, but the guitarist that was on it was on the other track, and it was just, so all these albums kept coming out, and the Paul Di'Anno stuff was on it. Yeah, he's great. I get on with Paul brilliantly. I sort of met up with him, I think it was a festival a couple of years ago or whatever, and we had breakfast and stuff. So he's a nice guy. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah. I didn't know that, and so I was curious to know if that was sort of a real collaboration, or if you guys were just sending tracks from across the country and you
Oh
never.
no, I was actually in the studio.
Yeah. Okay.
I went into the studio and did it.
I'm surprised those albums didn't get any real recognition because I'd never heard of them. I'm a big Maiden fan, but I never knew Paul Di'Anno and Dennis Stratton did something after their time in Maiden.
So
and then
the project.
Didn't Dennis have a band? He was in a band called Lionheart or something, wasn't he? Or something?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think so.
That sounds familiar. I might even have
with the bass player Rocky
from Tigers of Pantang.
No, not Rocky
Not Rocky Tiger.
He's a solicitor now.
What is a solicitor?
A lawyer.
A lawyer. Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, all this thing with Dennis Stratton. So it was like, Dennis would be there in the studio sometimes, and then, Paul would be there, and we were just like in and out doing tracks. It was like a sort of production line.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look those up.
And those records are the project was called Iron Men.
Yeah. But there were two ones called Iron Man, Iron Men, something like that. Okay. I can't even remember what label they came out on, to be quite honest with you.
I think it's called the original Iron Men or two original Iron Men.
That's it, could be. Yeah, it could be that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
That was a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up.
It was all around the same time as well. It was we did Nibs and I, we through the same producers and everything, we ended up playing on this Japanese album, and it was for this sort of Japanese manga or whatever, cartoon thing or whatever you call it. And it was, I think, because studios in Japan at the time, maybe probably still now, were so expensive, Japanese musicians work really fast, right? So we were in this studio and we had 12 tracks to do, right? And we'd never heard any of it. So it was like, I learned one track, went in, did the drums. Nibs was learning that track. He went in, did the bass. And while I was learning the second track, as soon as he'd finished, I was straight in. We did 12 tracks in a day. Wow. It was manic. I was exhausted by the end of that, I tell you.
Well, you're no stranger to that. I mean, that's kind of how you got the Saxon gig. If we go all the way back,
well, that's true. Yeah.
When we were out the other night, I've been hanging onto this album for years, and Nigel was kind enough to sign it for me. And on the back of this album, I'm holding up the live album, The Eagle Has Landed. And on the back, there's all kinds of fun facts about how many sticks he went through, how much alcohol was consumed, how many trucks were on the road, how much, how many cables, etc.
Tea bags. Tea bags.
And on the back, of course, is a very young Nigel Glockler pictured with his bandmates. But Nigel told me a great story about this album and how you came to be on this album and how little time you had to basically get this all sorted out before you recorded it. Share that story with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, people know this one. I had 2 days to learn the whole setting before the first gig. I mean, I hadn't joined them at that time. I was just helping them out originally it was just meant to be a week. And because Pete Gill had injured his hand or done something to it. And at the end of that week, I think it was, they said, no, we want you to join properly. So I did. And then they said, oh, by the way, in 2 weeks, we're recording a live album. I went, what?
That was the kicker right there.
Oh, my God. It was great.
Yeah, you couldn't fake it, and you couldn't fake it anymore. I got through the gig. By the way, we're recording live in 2. Oh shit!
Exactly. I mean, we recorded 2 Hammersmith shows. I think it was 2 Hammersmith shows, and then after, just so we had sort of more sort of variation, we went back. I think it was early in the new year or later that year, and in '82, and recorded at another couple of shows, so they're on there. So I think there's three venues on that album, but I think most of it comes from Hammersmith, actually.
And it's the Denim and Leather tour, correct?
Yeah.
So do you remember who your support bands were on that tour?
Riot.
Riot. Ooh, that's a good bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Riot and Saxon during the denim and leather era.
Yeah, that would have been. I saw Riot and Saxon at the Austin Opera House.
Right.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable U.S. run that you guys did with Riot. And I think that could have been. That wasn't with Rhett Forrester. That was still with Guy Speranza, right? That was still Fire Down Under.
In Europe, it was, but we did some. We definitely did some shows when Rhett was in the band as well.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Restless Breed, right?
Yeah.
So Fire Down Under and Restless Breed. Yeah, that was
Fire Down Under was the album they had out when they supported us.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think they started with Swords and Tequila, I think, or something.
As they should. They should end with it too, probably. So nice when they played it twice.
Yeah. Nigel's been on stage with Riot to play that song, haven't you? Didn't you?
Not that song, no.
Okay.
No, we went down. It was San Antonio. I went down to see them in San Antonio, and I got up and played Denim and Leather with them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah,
I knew that was great. Had a bit of a panic though. It was like, yeah, great, okay. And just before we were going, I noticed their drummer played open-handed. Basically, he played the hi-hat with his left hand rather than his right hand. So his hi-hat was like really low down. It was just before I said, get that bloody hi-hat up for Christ's sake, because that was a last-minute panic, you know.
Oh man!
No, that was good fun though. That was with I think they're called Riot 5. I think they were called.
Yeah, with Donnie and those guys.
Yeah, with Donnie. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool.
So one of the cool things about the other night when we're sitting around, you know, me and Nigel are having some food and some beer, and there's music in the background. And one of the cool things about having him sitting right next to me is if something comes on, I can ask him if he's got any stories about what the band that we're listening to. And so Cheap Trick came on. Ooh. And I asked him if he had any Cheap Trick stories, and he told me that they actually toured together, and I did not know that.
Yeah, we did a load of shows with Cheap Trick during '82. That was
okay.
That would have been the Power and the Glory album.
No, it was still the sort of live thing. Power and the Glory was '83.
'83. Okay,
we toured with Maiden on that. No, Cheap Trick was '80. I think it was '82. And they didn't have the original bass player. Tom Peterson wasn't with them. They had the other bass player.
Yeah.
And who was on the middle? Initially, when we joined the tour, Crocus were in the middle.
Oh, cool.
But then later on, Aldenova joined, and he just had that massive foot, and everywhere just went mad after that. Sold out everywhere.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
But
very interesting.
Great band. Got on with them really great. In fact, Bun E nearly drummed for us one night.
Really?
Yeah, because I got pneumonia.
Uh-oh.
I got taken to hospital, and the doctor said, yeah, you've got pneumonia. I mean, it literally felt like someone was digging a bayonet into one of my lungs.
Uh-oh.
So I came back in, and they'd asked Bun E, in case I didn't come back, if he could do the gig. So he was learning like the tracks, but apparently he sat up on my drum kit and went, "What the fuck?" Because he only played little 4-piece.
Right.
He doesn't play.
But, full marks to the guy for doing it. I think that's great that he would do it. But in the end, I did it anyway.
Yeah. You've had some interesting tours. I was surprised to hear about Cheap Trick, and of course, we're familiar with. I think the first time you came to America, you were supporting Molly Hatchet, or they were supporting.
Yeah, my first tour. Was
that's when I first met you. March 17th, 1982.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, Palmer Auditorium, Saxon, and some band called Molly Hatchet.
Yes, that was a bit of a weird sort of combination.
If I may, I didn't want to have anything to do with Molly Hatchet because I was such a fan of Saxon, and I couldn't believe that a band from the movement, the new wave of British heavy metal, was finally coming through. in 82. And then, Raven brought Metallica, shortly after, and then the whole dam started to break, and I was happy with that. But me and my friends were just over the top about seeing Saxon. You guys could have been opening for Tiny Tim, and we still would have been, it's just but the point is later in my years, I learned to appreciate some Molly Hatchet. I mean, those guys can play, and they had some great fucking songs, man.
Yeah, they were. I mean, the drummer was great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Flirting with Disaster has monster guitar riffs in it. The solos are shredding. They play harmonies like Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, you're right.
They were overlooked because they were a bit too Southern rock for a lot of headbangers, but man, the shit's good.
Yeah, no, didn't Dave Lubeck go to Skinner or something like that, or
I think so,
band, or Blackfoot or something? Or
I think
Ricky Medlock.
Is
that's right. Ricky Medlock,
but he's in Skinner. Yeah, he's been in Skinner off and on for almost the whole time.
Yeah,
so. Yeah. They have a club of guitar players that they take. They have a certain. That's a small club, but they have a club of guitar players. I think.
Yeah. But no, that was a funny sort of thing, us and Hatchet though.
Yeah.
And then of course during that year as well, we did gigs with Triumph.
Okay.
So we were like jumping. Say we do 4 or 5 gigs with Triumph, then we go to Cheap Trick or something, and then maybe we did a couple of shows with UFO.
Perfect.
Like St. Louis, we played in UFO, and then Rainbow.
Oh,
so we were all, and then back to Triumph again. It was weird. That whole year was bizarre.
Got to stay on the road. Got to stay in front of people. So you are considered one of the best at what you do in the heavy metal genre. One of the best drummers. Who out there is up and coming? What young drummers do you see out there that impress you?
Oh God, why'd you have to ask me that?
That's what I do.
I mean, there's just so many great players. There really are. And I don't just listen to metal. I listen to all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I mean, you've really put me on a point here. I can't. To be quite honest with you, I couldn't name anyone off the top of my head. I'll get you this later.
Yeah, you will.
No, I mean, there really are some great drummers out there.
Yeah.
Really good. I get a little disappointed with all the YouTubers. Stuff.
Why is that?
But hey, if they're sort of having fun, the basic thing is music should be fun.
Yeah,
right. I think it should be. If you're not enjoying it, don't bother doing it. So these guys are having fun going on YouTube. I mean, I've seen some of these guys and they play so fast. It's like, but how about playing for the song and grooving a bit?
Yeah, write a song.
Yeah, or groove.
Yeah,
and it's all very well. Again, I think it's great that you can get, some young kid and he does a run through of someone else's track. But, that's that's amazing. I mean, particularly a lot of the like Japanese kids and everything. I mean, that's been like this for years. They're amazing at copying, shall we say.
Right.
Other people's tracks. But I sort of think, but you're playing someone else's drum part, write your own.
Yeah.
That to me is the sort of, not knocking them as such, because I think it's amazing that these kids have learned to do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's hear what you can do on your own, what you can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah. If they use that, if they use that as a building block, then that's fine. But just to mimic someone, with, constantly is counterproductive.
The one that was amazing, I remember, it's quite old now. In fact, I think he plays with Beyonce or something. Is this black drummer called Tony Royster Jr. There's a video of him on YouTube, and I think I can't remember whether he was 9, 10 or 11, something like this. And he said, and he walked on and he said, I'm dedicating this solo to Tony Williams great jazz drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid just bangs it. It's brilliant.
Wow.
I mean, I recommend anyone to watch it. For a kid that age to play like that, I was like, whoa. And he's doing it all himself. That's his own interpretation of everything.
Wow. What's his name?
He's not copying anyone.
What's his name again?
Tony Royster Jr. He's a really big, well-known clinician now.
Okay.
And I think he plays with Beyonce or something like that. Or, no, he's phenomenal now. I mean, but, at that age, it was stunning. So you can imagine what he's like now.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy that it sounds like the same kind of a story that you're telling. And I don't know the cat's name, but I think that I've seen him not live, but just on videos and big productions on television and such, that plays with Lady Gaga.
Right.
And he has a giant kit, and he's playing like a metal drummer.
Right.
But, when he does like solo bits, or she'll introduce him, and I feel bad, I don't know the kid's name, but he's unbelievable. He's super tight. Of course, he's playing pop music, R&B influenced pop music with Lady Gaga, but at the same time, he's just ripping the whole time, and he's got double kick and a lot of toms, and he's very tasty, and knows what he's doing, and could probably play any style, and I would imagine is very creative, but I don't think he's a YouTuber, so he's got that going for him. So
that's great. And I mean, another great drummer, I think he's Austrian, is the drummer that plays with Depeche Mode. He's brilliant.
Wow.
You know who else is the guy that plays for Styx? That guy.
Todd Zuckerman.
Yeah, there you go.
He's great. He's stunning.
Yeah.
He is absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Someone brought him to my attention, and I watched some videos on YouTube, and I couldn't believe. I was like, this guy plays with Styx? Wow.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah. There's some really great players out there.
You know what they say, Nigel, if your drummer sucks, your band sucks.
Well, we are the engine room,
Yes. Yeah.
It's true. It's the truth, though. Everybody out front can be half-assing it, but if that drummer's the number one on top of their game, your band is probably pretty awesome. If your drummer
I think that's the pressure on a drummer when we're recording. We've got to put those baseboards down of every new song.
Yeah.
Because if that's right, then what goes on top's the icing.
Yeah.
But not the icing, but you know what I mean? But there's got to be that building block underneath.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's terrible news. It's terrible news, but I'll pull the veil off. There's a lot of rock fans, I'll just be generic about it, that have no idea that the drummer has on their favorite record, it's high possibility that their favorite band on their favorite record used a drum machine.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yep.
I mean,
they leave that information off the record, but probably use because you
can generally tell. We can
for sure.
No, I agree with you. Then, I mean, yes, I know a few albums that have got that sort of thing on them. We shall say no more about that.
Of course,
but,
of course.
But again, as I say, the building block's got to be the drums, which is why we sort of mess around when we're doing tracks. We mess around with tempos just to make sure it all sits. And I always play to a click track in the studio. Always. I mean, that's sort of been instilled in me since the Toya days.
Yeah, but
sessions, because back in the sort of early 80s, late 70s, I used to have to play with sequencers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing worse than drummers being off with a sequencer. You've got to be dead on that sequencer, dead on it. No flamming beats, nothing.
Because it's a robot.
Yeah. And you've got to be dead on it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good. It's a great tool for a drummer to learn how to weave, how to find the pocket by playing slightly behind. You know that the click, not a sequencer, which is just basically a loop drum track.
Yeah.
But learning how to play just behind the click, and then for in the verses and such,
and then pushing it for the chorus.
Yeah, and then in the chorus being slightly on top, so that waver the human ear can't really tell.
And then pull it back a little again.
To know how to do that. Yeah, to know how to do that, that goes back to that thing that we all agreed on, that if you can do that, if you're a drummer and you can do that, you'll always have a gig.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm sure we've mentioned him before, but I say that the great groove merchant for me is Phil Rudd.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not the guitar riff that gets you tapping your foot. As soon as Rudd comes in, you're off. You're tapping. Yeah. He's there. He's on it. Bang.
Yeah. The best and the best, over the top drummers in the world all come back to like Phil Rudd or even old Peter Criss, just the things that they were doing, and even of course Ringo
and Charlie Watts.
I was going to say Charlie Watts, actually.
Where they are sitting in the song is vital, and probably 90% of the records before the 80s, probably there's no click track.
No,
you just have to be great.
Yeah.
You have to be good.
There was a time you had to be talented.
You just had to be good.
No, it's funny because I never sort of really appreciated Charlie Watts when I was younger, starting out. I mean,
Simon Kirke. What about Simon?
More into the Keith Moon stuff, just going bloody mad, and then it sort of went on from there, sort of thing.
Is it Simon Kirke that played for Free?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Groove.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, I wasn't into him either. I was into more flashy drummers.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. But
I wanted the flash, but I've really come to appreciate, having read not his autobiography, but I read a biography on Keith Richards. And it's not the book he wrote, but it was a book someone else wrote. And during the course of it, it comes up to each album they do, blah, 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 and blah, 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 then the next album. And it was like I was sort of reading into this, which albums Keith really liked. So I went and bought them, some of the later ones, Bridges to Babylon and stuff like that. I mean, it's just great. I mean, Charlie's just in the pocket, bang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, Keith Richards said, without Charlie, the Stones wouldn't have been what they were.
Yeah, that goes back to what Jason said. If your drummer is great, then your band is going to be great.
So I think, the fact that they've got, who have they got drumming? Is it Steve Jordan drumming?
Yeah, Steve Jordan.
I mean, hey, full marks to that guy.
Yeah.
They're filling Charlie's thing, and they're obviously really happy with him. Boom, great.
Yeah. He spent a lot of time working with Keith and Keith's side band, the Expensive Winos. And
oh, right. Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
So he's kind of family a little bit. So he's definitely familiar with that style and that approach.
Yeah.
Well, Nigel, we're going to let you go. I got to be respectful here. Jason's got to get to work. We do appreciate you spending some time with us. It's always a pleasure. Congratulations.
Good fun as always.
Yeah, great fun. Congratulations on the new album. It's really fantastic. Hellfire and Damnation. You can look for Saxon on the road here in the next couple months, Europe first and then America. I will see you in Texas. Looking forward to that. And as always, thanks for joining us. By the way, Jason, this is Nigel's 4th appearance on the Talk Louder podcast. That makes him the Talk Louder king.
I realize that we need to have a jacket printed up, 4 Timers Club, some studs on it, have a special patch, have his name embroidered on the front, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna before I go, I'm gonna say something on air. You asked me about, young drummers. Your son, Dash, great. He's doing great, man. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes, he is.
I better watch my back.
Well,
no, really, he's coming along great, man. Great.
Thank you very much. That means the world to me coming from you, because I've always respected your playing. I think you're one of the best. So
thanks, man.
And you're a great guy. Thanks for always hanging out and spending time with us. It was great spending time with you.
Jellyfish.
Yes, electric jellyfish.
Now I've got you. Now you've broken your virginity Indian food.
Yes, I had Indian food for the first time last couple nights ago with Nigel, and he turned me on to a new beer called Electric Jellyfish, which, by the way, I had one yesterday. So,
what?
Yeah, you started something, man.
Oh, man. All right.
All right. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave Glessner, along with our special guest today, Nigel Glockler from Saxon on the Talk Louder podcast.